Hello, everyone. Um, I have been very lazy and busy with videos. I have like three projects that are just sitting in a folder, not being worked on. One of them I was working on, which is the one that I released as a short. That was going to be the intro to a video that was going to come before the election. Unfortunately, the election came and went. It's not went yet, but the AP election results are in, and it's looking like Trump is going to be the president-elect for this term. What this means is that we have lost. A lot of things are going to happen. First things first, looking at Trump's past term policies, it looks like we're going to see a cut in SNAP benefits, healthcare, and a lot of like financial aid cuts as well. It seems uh, we're going to see. So that's some things that will affect a lot of people. With his tariffs, we were already seeing businesses prepare to raise their prices and prepare to decrease wages. We see a lot of small businesses preparing like this as well. So things are going to get a lot more expensive for the working and middle class. That's just how tariffs work. That's just what they do. The tariff that he wants to put on China, China doesn't really pay that. They just increase the price of the product to make up for that tax, and the consumer ends up having to pay it down the line, which makes things more expensive for the consumer, and it just breaks China in the same amount of money that they were making, but we have to pay for it. So that's just kind of what happens when you put tariffs in, and that's going to be for a lot of things, not just Chinese products, but for a lot of things. I mean, like, you like coffee, a lot of our coffee beans come from other countries, so that's going to be under that tariff as well. And it's gonna, I think he said it was going to be a flat 20% or something like that. Someone can fact check me in the comments. I don't care. Um, but it's going to get pretty expensive for a lot of people. It doesn't sound like it's gonna be very good. So that's that. When it comes to his economic policies that he has talked about and what he has done in the past, that's what we're looking at. And if any conservatives are watching and they don't think they like that, well, that's what you voted for. So I, I don't know what you expect. Now that was the overall of the election as it's currently going. I wanted to take this time as well to talk about my fascism video because that video was mainly directed towards people before the election, specifically to maybe give them a better idea of how Trump could be a fascist, and how America could be fascist in a mechanical sense. But now that the election has come and people voted for the fascistic guy, I think this is a good time to sort of shed more knowledge on fascism and its existing forms, or like how that applies to Donald Trump. So first things first, my video wasn't entirely accurate. Um, you can't really place the fascism title on someone based on mechanical definitions, and like lists, and just like saying, oh, um, if this list is accurate and he fills most of the things on this list, then he must be a fascist. That is something you can do from a rudimentary standpoint. You can kind of crudely apply that to people, but really, um, you can be fascistic without being ideologically fascist. And I think Trump is not ideologically fascist. Now, what do I mean by that? Is he probably doesn't think that we need to create a social norm focused on re-educating currently like adults and indoctrinating youth based on like strongman like ideas, and creating like an Ubermensch society or something like Nazism. But what he is is fascistic in his goals, whether or not he's ideologically fascist. What I'm saying is that he, in what he does and the policies he pushes, align with like historical fascist policies, and his cabinet especially are aligning with that as well. It would be closer to say that he's more just of a general authoritarian than a straight up fascist, because a lot of fascism tends to be very plastic and malleable and doesn't really align with itself very much, so you can't really pinpoint exactly what Donald Trump would do that is fascist, but you can kind of take that mythical authoritarianism combined with like palingenetic, not ultranationalism, and you can kind of like take those aspects and you can apply it to historical interpretations of what fascism tends to do, and you can come out with an answer through that, which that answer is that he is fascistic in his workings. Now, some examples of that would be his closed borders policies, his Muslim ban, when he created the Department of Denaturalization in the Department of Justice under his first term. That would be an example of things that would try to create that would in not maybe not in their expressed goals, but in their functionality would create a sort of pure society. He doesn't want any undesirables, and to him, those undesirables are people that are in the country that come from a different country that he doesn't like. The reason why I say that is not because he's just deporting or wanting to deport illegal immigrants. The whole thing with denaturalization is that you take legal immigrants, denaturalize them so you can deport them. That's what that does, and that's what that aimed to do. And he's probably going to bring that back because that was a policy he made under his first term, or a department he made under his first term. I forget if it was like just a proposed bill or if it was an actual department that he fully created. Either way, just taking from what he's done in the past, he does want to purify society, so that is one thing that is fascistic, though it's not expressly through the purpose of purifying. So I wouldn't say that you can really say that it's entirely fascist, but it is fascistic in nature. And when I say the word fascistic, I'm meaning that it's not through the ideological goal of fascism, but it is similar enough to be applied like mechanically. So it's like fascist adjacent. That is what I'm basically saying. If it's authoritarian, if it's ultranationalist, and if it's populist, then you can probably safely say that it is fascistic or fascist adjacent. Other fascistic stuff, probably General Machismo. He wants to create a society of strong men. And the reason why this is a relevant contrast to my video is because in my video I was claiming that he was just flat out fascist, which is accurate if you take the mechanical perspective, but fascism isn't purely mechanical. It's very ethereal in its mechanics. So you can't really just take a list and then just apply it accurately. It's not going to be like that, but you can do that if you want to. There's other things too, like the gender affirming care thing, where he wants to get rid of gender affirming care for minors, which is fascistic but not fascist, because there could like someone could have genuine reasons for that aren't just because they hate trans people. Ignorant reasons, yes. Wrong reasons, yes. It is still worrying when it comes to how fascist is Trump. It's worrying regardless, but when it comes to how fascist is Trump. Another example of the fascistic tendencies that he has, or the things that he wants to do that are fascistic, is things like really limiting porn and violent video games and things like that. Things that he has said, or at least his cabinet has said. I know the violent video games he said on fucking national television, or at least in an interview that was played on national television. He wants to not ban violent video games, but heavily restrict them. So that's fascist. The porn thing is also fascist. When you are a fascist and you have the goals of creating a fascist state, one of those goals is going to be purging society of media and art that you think is undesirable. The exact wording that fascists usually use is degenerate, but degenerate doesn't necessarily someone not saying degenerate doesn't mean that it's not the same goal. Degenerate was mostly a Nazism thing, which is separate from fascism, though Nazism is a version of fascism. But you don't have to have the word degenerate in your policy position to make it fascist. Just generally limiting media that you'd find undesirable is going to be a version of fascism. So things that you could ban that wouldn't be fascist would be things like child porn. Things that you could ban that would make you fascist is things like violent video games, because that doesn't actually harm in the same way that child porn does. So there's that distinction there, just in case anyone wanted to be like, well, you want to ban media too. It's like, yeah, I want to ban bad media, not good media. So there's that. Banning certain types of art, banning just like normal porn in general, just because you want a more pure society. That is fascist. Banning violent video games because you want a more stable society. That is also fascist. You don't need to say the word degenerate art to make it fascist. That would just make you a an offshoot of Nazism, which is worse, but is more rhetorically convenient for me. So if he were to just call them degenerate art, then that would be very convenient for me. But yeah, so those are some examples of how he is either fascist or fascistic leaning. I just wanted to clear that up and expound on what my fascism video was trying to entail, because it's not inaccurate in the sense that it's wrong or that you can't do what I did in the video. It's inaccurate in that that video kind of presumed that fascism is one thing when it's not. Even if I were to say in the video, which I think I did, that it's not, that it could be that it's a lot of different things and that it's not always accurate, using just like one or two lists to define fascism and then build your argument around that is something you can do, but it's not entirely accurate. It's not going to be very academically true, however far that statement goes, but it is something you can do. So in this video, I just wanted to make sure that I cleared the air about that and gave you guys more tools to understand fascism, and maybe any Republicans that are watching for some reason, maybe then you can understand what I'm talking about when I say Donald Trump is, at the very least, fascistic. So yeah, that is gonna be the video. I might do more videos like this in between, where I'm just like playing a game and I just like throw on OBS and I start talking. I can't really make videos if I lose the motivation to make them, which is why a lot of my projects go unfinished and why I haven't been uploading, because I will start working on something, I will then lose the fire, and then I just won't finish it. So whenever I get that fire, I'm going to instead type up some bullet points, maybe do a little bit of research for what I'm about to talk about, just so I can have the sources on hand for when I upload the video, and then just talk about what I wanted to talk about. And then if I actually get like long-lasting motivation, which happens like twice a year, then I'll make more long-form content that actually has a lot to say and has a lot of research into it and a lot of effort and editing and things like that. I will try my best, especially now that the election is almost over and it's probably going to be Trump. I will try my best to keep the knowledge coming from what I learn and from what I can say about different topics. I will try my best to keep that coming. Anyways, that is that. See you guys in the next video.